This is a Nekko Media podcast.
What's your pleasure, sir?
Welcome, cinephiles and cinebites, to a new Cinebite, number 45. Today, we have a special guest on the show. Joining Mox and Ono, we have Danny S. Warren, here to talk about film, his favorite films, screenwriting, writing, film stuff, whatever. Listen to what they have to say. Here, Schrody's Ladder.
So you seen anything good lately, Danny?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say good. I watched Murder on the Orient Express the other day.
Oh.
I mean, it was well shot, well acted, but I read the book in middle school, so it followed the book so closely there was absolutely no surprise left in it. My mother-in-law enjoyed it though.
Oh, cool.
Damn.
So for that movie, it probably would have been better for you not to have read the book, I guess, because it followed so closely.
Yeah, and I prefer anyway to take in the visual medium before I read whatever it's adapted into, because if you read it before you watch it, you're going to ultimately be disappointed. But if you watch it and then you read it, it's kind of like getting the unedited director's cut with bonus scenes added in, you know?
Right.
True, I totally agree. You know, it can ruin it if you do it the novel or source material first, as opposed to just kind of widening it after you've seen the film.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, like, I feel like it. If I've read the book, I hope that the movie is different and not like page for page exactly.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Like,
especially with comic book adaptations. If it's straight page for page, scene for scene, I get bored. I'm like, I've been through this already.
right. And I think that's why Paul Anderson, or Paul W.S. Anderson, got a lot of flack for Resident Evil, was because it wasn't the Resident Evil story we all hoped for. It was different. And his reasoning was
Right.
he wanted to give something different.
Well, video games are hard to adapt into a movie anyway, because with the video game you have player participation, and that doesn't translate well into a movie where you're passive.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges, and that's one of the most specific things to video gaming, the immersion and the participation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been some not bad ones, I thought, but, you know, I wasn't that connected to the source material. Maybe that's why. Like, I didn't hate the Prince of Persia movie.
I haven't even seen it.
Right.
You're not missing that much, but I didn't think it was horrible. But maybe I like Jake Gyllenhaal a little too much. Hey, is Ebbing a real town in Missouri?
I'm sorry?
Is Ebbing a real town in Missouri?
Ebbing, Missouri. You know, I personally never heard of it, but it could very well be. There's a lot of like little tiny towns spread out that you can't even find on a map. You just have to kind of stumble onto them while you're driving.
Right. Man, if you look at like just Oahu on the map, and like you can probably put this island in Missouri. I mean, that's how big it is. So, like all these little towns, you probably
it's tiny as shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know all the towns or cities on this island alone.
On Oahu?
Yeah, I can't name every one of them. Like, for example, I don't know where Wailua is. I have no idea.
That was like the mystery, but I went to something on North Shore. It's like just a little bit past North Shore before you get to, like, after Hollywood even.
Yeah, or like Wailua High School or Lelehua. Like,
yeah, I don't know where the fuck that is. It's basically
no
just
idea.
like a big ass fucking cornfield, or not corn, but fucking
taro field.
Sugarcane.
Oh, sugarcane. Yeah, we got sugarcane and pineapple fields here, not corn.
Oh yeah. We got huge fields of just fucking pineapples. It's hideous. Hey, so how's the Feral going? How's the Feral rewrites?
I'm about halfway through the page one rewrite of it. It's going really really well. I'm definitely taking it in a different direction. I wrote the
Oh,
original back in 2012, so cinema has already changed so much from 2012 to 2018. I mean, it's practically 6 years old, so it's good to update it and iron it out. And I managed to get 4 characters out of it.
cool. I mean, even though I'm surprised to hear that it was written in 2012 because it's still fresh. A lot of your ideas and a lot of the ways that you chose to do it, a lot of things was still fresh for now. I had not experienced that, or it's not a popular thing among this genre. In fact, yours is kind of hard to narrow into, like, I wouldn't call it a slasher film.
Right. Yeah, I was calling it a slasher film, and my wife told me to stop that and start marketing it as a psychological thriller.
Oh.
It kind of is, and the bonus of that is there's gore. I mean, there really is. I love that. But I feel, yeah, it has elements of the slasher, but there is a lot of emotional depth and psychological drama going on and tension.
Yeah, and that was kind of my goal because I just got tired of watching horror movies where it's just tropes. They're just cookie cutter stereotype, except for the Vestal Virgin. She's the final girl is always the only one that gets any kind of development. And I'm like, if
Mm,
if if you're watching all these people die, you got to care about them first. If you want to have that tension. If 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 the jock is getting slashed up, you're rooting for the killer because everybody was bullied by a jock in high school. But if all of a sudden you find out that jock is taking care of his sick mother out of guilt because he left her with his like abusive stepfather or something, that is a character I'm interested in, and now I don't want him to die. So when the killer's after him, I'm tense. I'm on the edge of my seat.
true. There's a connection because of the empathy. I mean, that's someone we can care about and who we don't want to see viciously murdered. And then he gets murdered, and then we're like, ooh, that hurt. That hurt us emotionally.
Yeah,
Right.
and I also hate pure good characters. They never do anything wrong. Everybody does something wrong.
Did you see the newest Day of the Dead Bloodline?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah, cuz me and Mox just watched that a couple weeks ago, and like you have all these characters getting killed off in that one, and we're like, I don't care about any of these people. There's no
Yeah,
effect on
it's
me.
like
Like,
go zombies, team zombie, guaranteed. Like,
like
even the main, the fucking, we're supposed to follow her through the film. She is constantly fucking up and getting other people killed. I'm like, what the fuck?
yeah,
She's just
Oh
like, what?
yeah, yeah. I hate that. I hate when the protagonist is just a useless person.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
like,
She
come on,
was.
writers, take a few. Did you not have a sister or a mother or a cousin or someone that you appreciated? Can't you just take some of their qualities and mix it in there? Give us a human being for once.
This kind of person doesn't
Yeah, I mean,
exist. Oh my god.
she was just terrible. I'm like, okay, why are we following her through the story? I mean, I'm sure some of these side characters might have been a better one for us to follow through, if they fuck up less, or maybe, I don't know if it was the directing too, because what little emotional through line she had, it just didn't work. It was like, oh, shut the fuck up. Just all you gotta do, lady, is not fuck up and get these people killed.
How's the Groundhog Day marathon? Oh my
Well,
god.
I was about finished with the second viewing, but I was just so drunk on whiskey I couldn't keep my eyes open.
Oh yeah. Daniel was live tweeting while he was watching Groundhog Day, and I was just replying to every tweet he was doing. I was like, okay, I think I've seen this movie enough times to know where he's at. Yeah.
It had been a long time since I seen it, so a few things shocked me, like when Phil Connors murders the police officer with a train. The dude's
All right.
the cop's following him right behind him on the train track, and then he dodges that train at the last second. That cop didn't have time to move. He killed that cop, man.
Yeah, man. I mean,
That is actually pretty murderous. Yeah,
some
I
parts
mean,
can get pretty dark.
they gloss over the murderiness of it, but he goes dark.
Yeah. I Another thing I noticed for the first time watching it is his character's turning point, because he's an absolute horrible jerk throughout this entire movie. Date raping people, murdering cops. But that homeless man, that he couldn't save his life, and they kept showing him trying different ways to make sure this homeless man survived. And when he learned that death was inevitable, he stopped being a jerk. And I'm like, that's really good.
That
That's
is.
great character development.
That is. Oh, you're right. I hadn't
Yeah.
pinpointed it before, but that is a character. That is a pivotal part of his arc. Huh.
It's crazy, and
We
I'm
really
wondering
get to like him.
if that kind of reflected his, inevitable stance in, I guess, this purgatory, and so he kind of
Right.
accepted that too. And I am a god. That's what I can drink and
Mm,
smoke anything and eat. Yeah, he downed that
but
that
he
sponge
can't
cake.
stop the inevitable.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's still powerless. He can't get out of his own time loop, and he can't really effectively save lives.
yeah,
Yeah, Harold Ramis said he was in that loop for like 10,000 years or something.
that's a
I
crazy
wondered
amount.
about that. I
Yeah,
wondered
because
about that because he's like crazy good at everything, but and he's like making no big deal of it.
because yeah, I also read that Bill Murray is the one who wanted it to be more philosophical, and Harold Ramis was just like, no, let's just keep it a comedy. So like, I'm like, okay,
Well,
okay, I see, I see.
I think they married the two well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
When
agreed.
you got exhausted from the philosophy, you could chuckle at a joke, and when you got tired of the jokes and you wanted to think a little bit, it got a little bit philosophical.
Oh, and just a heads up, Danny, we're recording right now, so that's we're,
I figured so. That's
yeah,
why I'm giving you all my gold, all my
yeah.
good stuff.
Yes, yes. Okay, cool.
I don't give this away for free.
Yes, yes. Are you so you're a whiskey guy? That's your drink of
I am.
I see.
I have Irish heritage, and I'm just drawn to that whiskey. Like I try to flirt and cheat with other liquors. Rum is good every once in a while, but I
Mm,
always come back to that whiskey.
nice,
Mm,
nice. I believe Mox is a vodka dude in
I
green
am a
bottles.
vodka dude.
um,
Yep.
I stick to Powerade though. I'm just a Powerade kind of guy. That's me.
I have a friend who mixes her rum with Powerade. She's the only
Oh,
person I've ever met to do it.
Damn, dude. Whew,
Yeah,
I don't know about that. That's
she says she
sounds like
doesn't get
it'd be
hungover though.
pretty sweet.
oh right,
Oh,
because then that's what you drink, right? If you're like the day after, right? To a Powerade to like get past that.
Yeah,
So
to replenish, because a
yeah,
hangover is nothing but your
dehydration.
body and brain being dehydrated.
damn. Okay, maybe I can do that next time. Oh, vodka and Powerade. We'll see.
I usually, if I'm doing a lot of heavy drinking, I usually drink a bottle of water right before I go to bed, and it totally makes the hangover easier the next morning.
Ah, okay.
Or as we refer to it, Irish influenza.
We got
Nice.
the Irish flu.
Cool, man.
Hey, so what is the plan for Farrell once you are through with this draft, or you reach finish point where you're happy with it?
Well, when I like I said, I wrote it 6 years ago, and I was searching for anyone to give me any kind of money so I could make it, because in my experience making my other 7 short films, uh, I have this problem of finding all these people who really like the idea of making a movie, but when you have to actually have work, when you have to memorize lines or hold a boom mic, then they just don't show up. They're like, "Sorry, man, I
Wow.
don't have gas money." So
Oh,
I'm not going to be able to get the performances I need unless I'm able to pay somebody. And then a buddy of mine had gotten a huge payout, and he was going to produce it for me. And then he ended up, I don't know what happened. That money never came through, and that was after I sunk several $100s, and I don't have hundreds of dollars to just sink into that. And he just kind of left me high and dry. And then I found producers in St. Louis, Missouri, who were offering like $100,000 to do it, and then they just treated me like a bad date. Like everything was going great, we were talking, we were holding hands, we were at the movies, and then I just didn't get a call the next day.
Oh,
I never
man.
heard from them again. They didn't reply to my emails, my phone calls, nothing.
Damn. So
So yeah, I'm kind
unprofessional.
of yeah. When I'm ready to go with Feral again, I guess the next step is try to find some money I can throw out to make it, because I got everything I need right here. All the locations are, I wrote it with the area that I grew up in mind, because that place is it's so poor. We used to have mines here, and then the TIF mines and all that dried up, and everybody's out of work, and everybody's poor and beating their kids, and there's just a lot of dark stuff going on behind the scenes here in the country, and I wanted to capture that in the movie. And so I based real locations and everything. When my buddy was going to produce it, I got a bar that I could shoot in. The guy was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll get you a crowd of people here. I'll do it. I'll do anything you want." But I'm gonna need the money first to buy the equipment and pay the crew.
Definitely. I mean, that seems like the most challenging part. Are we thinking about crowdsourcing, or are you going to look for independent producers again?
Well, see, looking for an independent producer, you can get the money all in one go. Crowdsourcing is kind of a gamble, especially around here, because uh, here in Middle America, not people just don't have a whole lot of money, and no one's going to take what little money they have and throw it at a movie. To them, movies is what happens in Hollywood. That it's almost
Mm.
unreal to them. So if I were to crowdsource it and talk to all the people around here, I was like, "Hey, help me fund my film." They're gonna be like, "I got better things to do, like eat this month."
Mm, yeah, it's true. Um, what I've noticed though, like lately, like on Kickstarter, um, I've seen like projects who get funded like within the time frame that they were shooting for, and it's like they never deliver after that.
Oh,
With like
Yeah, take the money and run.
kind of well,
yeah.
like they'll get like they'll show updates of what they're doing, and then like suddenly kind of stop with the updates, and then
Ghost on you.
yeah, and then like after months, people are always commenting what's going on, what's happening. And I came across this one project where it was almost like 10 months after the goal was reached, and the guy's well, air quotes excuse was life happened. Like, wait, you asked for 20,000 and you're gonna throw this at all these people who donated? Life happened, work happened. It's like, dude, I saw that trailer. Like, you're close to finishing. What else do you have to do? It's like, okay. But then I think with like that particular project, there were like just 10 other people working on it, and so I guess work schedules and things fell
Well,
through. And
either way, when someone does that, they make it harder for other aspiring filmmakers. The DIY
yeah,
crowd that
true.
that is scraping together everything they can to make a movie. Makes it harder for them to get crowdfunded, because then people are like, "Oh, you're just going to take the money and
Yeah,
run?"
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man.
It
Um,
does pollute the whole pool for,
I know.
everyone else who's trying to swim legit.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
with those Kickstarter like those projects, yeah, like you just got to be on top of things like schedule wise, like and then another excuse would be like, oh, I can't release the film yet because it's going through the festival circuit, so no one else can
I mean,
see
that's
it.
a real
Yeah,
thing though.
I
But
know,
Yeah,
but yeah.
you can't get in the Sundance if you premiered anywhere else.
Why did you want to make this movie? Why'd you shoot for this gold? And it's like, okay, like
well, I would
you
be
knew
like,
going
hey
in.
guys, thanks for funding our film.
Yeah.
It got into Sundance. Just hold up a bit, and then you guys
Okay.
will all get the thing, to have the Sundance leaf on it, and
Yeah.
then your name somewhere.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that makes it better.
Y'all just need to wait till I take top honors,
Yeah.
then you'll see.
Wait, you got
Then
an
you'll get it
Academy
right.
Award? Come on, man. I'm still waiting on my stickers and my download, and my shirt.
My
Right. I
cast
mean,
and
I
crew
feel like
picture autographed by all the people who have never been in a movie before.
Yeah. Where's my postcard? Okay.
actually, let's take it back a step. Let's have you introduce yourself, Danny. Give a little bit of background. You want to talk about your work a little bit. should definitely talk about your article for Damnation.
Mm.
I really liked it.
Oh, really? Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, uh, for all your audience members, my name is Danny Warren. I'm a DIY independent filmmaker from Missouri. I'm also a writer and a huge cinephile.
Yeah.
I've directed 7 short films, but sadly, no one will ever be able to see them. So here's a tip for all you DIY filmmakers out there: make sure you get at least some of the rights to your movie. That way, when your producer is a unstable egomaniac and tries to take it and lock it up in the safe so no one could ever see it again, you'll have some access to it and be able to get it out. Because that's currently what I'm going through. I have 7 movies under my belt, and no one will ever be able to see them.
Damn, man. Well, you mentioned
That
like
really is a shame too, because
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, did you see? I mentioned I don't know if it was 1 or 2 of the films were on a DVD. That's like just
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, there's a sci-fi fantasy convention in Collinsville, Illinois every year called Archon, and we did 6 short films, and we called it 6 short films in 6 months, because from inception to completion, our debut was a 6-month period, and it was a lot of fun. It was a huge learning experience. It was the first time I've ever directed anything, and we premiered at Archon, and we were selling some DVDs there, and we didn't sell a whole lot, you know, 'cause people were there for, you know, comic books and shit. They weren't there to, you know, watch my short films. But there are like, you know, maybe 10 DVDs of it out there if someone didn't use it as an ashtray or a frisbee for their dog.
Oh, it's 10 out there. There's 10 out there. That would be like,
I think
Yeah.
that's some really practical advice. You know, you have all of this body of work that you aren't able to use to get future or current, investors, right? Because of the last guys who are just fucking crazy, holding that shit hostage.
damn, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it was all because the 2 producers just got into it, you know? And
And you're
they
just
had
like the collateral
yeah,
damage that is.
yeah.
So contracts, people,
Put it
like
down on
Danny
paper
said, make sure you get your rights to your own creation.
or get a copy
Yes,
of it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, he even like took the hard drive and everything. There's just nothing left.
Oh my god. Because
Oh man.
I think of the student film I did during college, like so I have all the mini DVs still, and I made like 3 different copies, plus the copies I gave to the friends out
The people in
that
it, right?
were in it, and so I'm like, okay, I know I got
And
enough.
it's streaming digitally on our site.
Oh
If
yeah.
anyone wants to check it out, it's called It's on
Awesome.
Random.
Oh, it's up there. It's a nice short student film.
But yeah,
I didn't get
rights
any
are.
permission to use any of the music in that in that
Oh, yeah,
movie.
shit, it's totally illegal.
Yeah, totally illegal. Featuring on the soundtrack, Weezer. We got
Rufio,
Rufio on there. No. Oh.
And
Lady
you
Sovereign.
you don't even get me started on how ridiculous the whole licensing rights for music in a movie is. I just think it's ridiculous. You got to pay that much money to put, you know, just half a minute of a song in a movie. It's not
I
like
know.
that song being right there in that movie is going to generate that much extra revenue for you.
What's the price range to get that kind of right to use?
I never get a straight answer. Every
Yeah.
time I look it up, they're
Mm.
like, "You got to call the record company," and then you call the record company, and they're like, "You gotta call these people," and then you just get the runaround. And
Mm.
unless you have like an agent or, you know,
Wow.
someone you know, who has the connections to get in, they just treat you like you're an idiot.
Yeah. I guess that's for the bigger labels. Because nowadays,
Yeah.
every now and then I would see like like an independent record label, in their facts section.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
The first time I was going into production on Feral, there was a song I wanted so bad, and I found it on unsigned.com, and I managed to get a hold of the guy who wrote it, and he was all about letting me use it in the movie, and then he just completely ghosted when it came time to sign paperwork.
Damn.
So yeah, and I tried searching for him on the site again. He had mentioned that the band was no longer together. They had a huge falling out. So I wonder if that has something to do with it, because you'd have to get the entire band together if they're all if you know their work is on the recording to get the rights signed over.
Damn. I see. That's
Sounds like a lot of pieces kind of have to line up in order for that one thing to happen.
Right. can't we just cut all this confusion down and all this hullabaloo around and just get, some just straight up simple rules for
Right.
licensing music and movies and reasonable prices? I mean, not every filmmaker out there anymore has, thousands of dollars they can just waste on a song.
Right.
Kevin Smith, when he made Clerks, he had to sell his entire comic book collection just to put the music in that. And I mean, Clerks is the only place I've ever heard that music anywhere.
Oh man. Yeah, what was it? Like $10,000 was the budget for
Yeah,
Clerks?
it was.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I thought it was closer to like 16, but I mean, either way, it's cheap as fuck for
Yeah.
the amount of awesomeness and then how it propelled his career.
Right.
Yeah, especially at that time too, because digital wasn't around yet. You had to buy film.
Oh yeah, you have to buy shit. Like I
And
saw
working
like
with film is a bitch.
yeah, like he had
Yeah.
his whole itinerary, like how much film he needed. He had it in feet, money, like his budget charts. I'm like, shit. Like he actually, he planned it out really, really good. But I think it was just the funding, maxing out the credit cards, selling his comics. Woo.
He's very
Yeah.
he's very lucky it took off, because if it would have failed, he'd probably be living under a bridge by now.
Right.
Oh man.
Fucking applying for jobs at that store he shot at.
Right. Well, that was
I mean, he did it at kind of the last point when filmmaking and indie filmmaking was, less accessible. I mean, nowadays it's not easy, but I mean, anyone with a vision and access to these digital tools can put their stories out there. Not that
Right.
it'll go to Sun, but I mean, now's a great time to just fucking be indie and do your shit.
that was 94, right? When that came
I
out.
think so.
Yeah,
Pulp
yeah.
Fiction.
I think indie film blew up at like Miramax,
Yeah, you had,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
you
they
had
experienced a renaissance.
The Weinsteins.
yeah, you had Clerks, Pulp Fiction, El Mariachi.
Right.
What was it? Was Reality Bites that year too? I think.
Oh right. Ben
Yeah.
Stein or Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
A great time to be
Yeah.
an indie film.
I didn't really like that
So,
movie though, but it was okay.
What, Reality Bites?
Yeah, Reality Bites. Yeah.
I only saw it because of the soundtrack. So Big
Oh.
Mountain got paid, but that's good because the music video kept showing, and I was like, oh, I should watch this movie. I have no idea what it's about. Also, it's about college 20-somethings, and I'm like a fucking kid, so I didn't get any of it. I was just waiting to hear the Big Mountain, Baby, I Love Your Way. So, Danny, what is your approach to screenwriting?
Well, I got a cork board in my living room, and I usually,
Old school.
yeah, I usually take index cards, and each index card represents a scene, and then I map out my entire movie with index cards on the cork board, and then I start writing and forget all of it.
Nice. Make a plan and then freestyle.
Yeah. Well, I treat it more like a guideline, because I know that as soon as I get a handle on who my characters are, what their motivations are and everything, they're going to take the story in their own direction. And that's more organic, and it usually makes for a better story, in my opinion. So I just kind of go with it on that. Plus, I'm a huge introvert, so I can map out an entire movie in my head, and just I can sit there and watch it from fade in to fade out, and completely in my mind, and that helps a lot in my writing too.
Nice.
Awesome. But yeah, so I mean, for those, I guess, who can't keep it in their head as awesome, you would definitely recommend the step outline, kind of know your scenes in what order you want to.
Oh
But
yeah.
then also,
yeah, don't chain yourself to it, but yeah, it definitely helps a lot, because writer's block will kill you, and if your confidence gets killed in the middle of writing, your project's dead. So with at least if you have a roadmap, you can be like, okay, I'm stuck in the scene, but I know I have to get to here. So maybe, and then you just think about it for a couple minutes, couple hours, couple days, however long it takes, and then usually you find a path to it.
When you experience kind of a wall in a particular story, I guess, that you're working on, do you think it's more often a story problem or a character problem?
Usually when I experience that, it's because the story I originally wanted to tell has changed now that the character got involved, and the character's trying to take it in a different direction, and I have to fight with my stubbornness. Is like, no, I thought about this for days, and this is the scene I want to do, but it doesn't make it's not true to the character anymore, and I just got that internal battle inside of me. Is like, do I do it for the story or do I do it for the character? And I side with the character every time.
Awesome. So why horror? Why do you choose to operate or create in that genre?
Well, I love horror, man. I mean, it's such a primal thing. You know, when early man was sitting around the campfire, they weren't sitting around telling dick and fart jokes. They're sitting there telling horror stories, so their kids won't wander off in the dark and get eaten by a bear.
Dang.
There's something very primal about telling scary stories because that's what helps us fight and survive. It prepares us for imaginary circumstances, but also prepares you for real life circumstances. Sure, you're never going to run into Jason wielding a machete in the woods, run into a crazy drunk man with a shovel someday, and if I'm going to run, I better not trip.
That's actually true. I mean, I like that you referenced that. It does. I read something that said they did a study, and kids who grew up within homes where they watched a lot of horror found that they were better able to be prepared for adulthood and the challenges that come out of nowhere. Not necessarily, like you said, a fucking shovel wielding killer, but life can get fucking messy and unexpected. So,
Yeah, I mean,
parent,
experiencing the darkness of human nature, no matter how old you are, as long as you have a stable environment and a good person to talk to, it can prepare you for any kind of trauma that you're going to experience in your life. I'm very thankful that my mom just didn't edit movies for me. She'd just sit there and explain to me that it's just a movie. This doesn't happen in real life. And I was fucking 5 years old watching Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, Nightmare on Elm Street. I was like 4 years old. My sister Cindy sat me down and made me watch The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer, and she's like, "If you ever pick up a hitchhiker, this will happen to you." And you know what? Just the other day, I was driving down the road, and a really pretty girl had her thumb out in the rain, and I'm like, "Nope, not today. You ain't killing me today, lady." And I just hit
that's
the gas,
exactly.
flew right by her.
Fuck yeah, because that's how you get murdered. I like that you're practical. A lot of choices of characters and screens is like, come on, dude, that's obviously going to lead to something bad. But yeah, definitely, because that's how you get murdered.
Oh yeah.
So
Don't breathe.
who inspires you? Yeah,
Uh,
don't rob black fucking crazy blind guys.
who inspires me?
Yeah.
Well, film-wise, I'm gonna have to lean towards my boy John Carpenter because I mean, the dude created a slasher aesthetic 40 years ago that's still holding up today. I mean, yeah, it got tiresome there at the late 80s, and then it was revived for a little bit with Scream and Urban Legend and what was it?
I know what
Valentine.
you did.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
Valentine.
know what you did last summer. Yeah, it got revived there for a little bit, but even though we got tired of it, you still see killers with masks. I mean, if it wasn't for John Carpenter, the Purge movies, you wouldn't have all the creepy masks running around in it. You just have a bunch of yuppie rich white people running around killing folk.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to the Purge. Pre-Purge, new movie.
First Purge.
The first Purge, right?
Really? That's
Yeah.
a thing?
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, I'm seeing that.
Independence Day.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
year?
yeah. This year.
This year.
Cool.
I'm
I
down.
fucking love the concept of the Purge. I love how simple it is and how terrifying it could be.
I also
agree
love
we
how
should have.
I also love how deeply kind of it has this political philosophical line to it because the entire time you're watching the Purge movie, they're saying this event that we're doing is just the rich people taking advantage of the poor people, and I mean since we got rid of or since the middle class fell apart, you got more poor people out there struggling now than you have rich people. And then you got the whole 1% owning all the money. I think it's really smart if you can make a horror film like The Purge, that's kind of outlandish, but at the same time hit home in reality with your audience, because then all of a sudden you're marrying fantasy and reality with them, and I think that is just brilliant storytelling.
But
Yeah, there's a huge social commentary on that, and
yeah.
it's one that resonates, because that's kind of happening in our time right now. Not the purging, but the whole
Yeah.
1%.
it feels like that franchise though didn't really. It's not like it didn't blow up like, and it's on its third, I think, sequel. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's third sequel, fourth
right,
movie.
yeah, it's like okay, well, I mean, the first two are
Oh,
They've been getting progressively worse, so I mean, it's suffering from all the franchise shit, you know.
yeah,
But
sequel fatigue.
oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh man, yeah. Like I think it was the third. Well, I don't think I seen the third one. I think it was the second one. And now they're going into the city, and we get to see, yeah, the whole privileged rich people with all the like an entire crew of purgers, and then you got the ghetto guerrilla style, um I guess, yeah, poor people who's got to hide
yep.
in their buildings with no locks.
Yeah, you got predators and prey. That's
Yeah,
that's really what you got.
yeah. But can you imagine, like, after, like, the day after the purge, and you're like, okay, now I got 364 days to prepare for the next one. What am I gonna do?
Now
Yeah.
I got now I got 364 days to leave
Yeah,
Earth.
right. Or I gotta be nice to this guy until next year. Yeah, right.
Right.
My
Mind my
coworkers,
P's and
yeah,
Q's now.
yeah. We got laws, all right.
This this is totally separate, but I feel like if the purge were real, we should not allow people to come to the country and take part in it, like they had those tourists in the most recent one.
Oh,
Oh,
right,
Like if
yeah.
it's an American thing, we shouldn't allow fucking foreigners to come and just start killing off our people.
yeah,
Well, I mean, naturally they're going to charge the foreigners to come in, to pay extra money to hunt humans. When it comes down to it, money, cash rules everything around me. Wu-Tang got it right,
right. Cream,
Dollar bill, you know.
cream. No,
Exactly.
well, I don't even know like the rules. Like I know it's not even an entire day, right? It's like 12 hours.
Yeah, it's
Only 12
12 hours.
hours.
12 hours, and like is there like a group that is like overseeing the purge, like
Politicians
politician?
are exempt from the purge.
Damn.
You cannot kill a politician.
Okay, huh? Like, and then yeah, and there's no rules, right? No holds bar. It's like anything
Right.
goes.
Yeah. Other than that,
Yeah,
yeah, all emergency services
All
are
crimes,
suspended.
including murder,
yeah. Don't kill the
are legal.
EMTs. They get a
I
pass.
feel like there should be like a little bit of rules,
Leave
but
the
fuck
doctors
it.
out of this. They're gonna be helping out. The ER is gonna be busy as hell. After this 12 hours. Damn.
Fuck
Oh,
yeah. All the people who got like half killed.
man, yeah. I'm curious to see the prequel. Like, what's the first purge? Like, what started it? That should be an interesting story.
Yeah, it's got me super interested.
I think the poster is just the red hat, right?
Yeah, the red hat, make America purge again, or something like that.
Nice.
Oh my god. Yeah, we know what we're watching
So,
on Independence Day.
yeah, we should put it on the summer schedule. So Danny, what inspires you? You know, when your inspiration is waning and you feel like sapped, how do you reinvigorate and stay focused?
Oh well, really, music. Music is
Hmm.
the key for me because if I encounter that block, and I can't get past it, I have to be alone. Then I lock myself in my head because I'm an introvert. I put on some music and I try to think, whatever character's taking the lead in that scene. I go, what would be in their playlist on their phone, and then I pull up music on my phone and find songs that person would listen to, and then I play it, and the next thing you know, I'm there and I'm mapping out the scene in my head, and I just start writing right away. Music is a huge inspiration for me.
Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
I think that's what Tarantino does, right? He puts a playlist first and kind of works around that. That's what I read on like Pulp
I've
Fiction.
heard something like that. Yeah, he definitely writes to music and it helps him think. I like the fine point that you put on it, Danny, where you get into the skin of the character by listening to music that they would listen to. I think that's an excellent technique.
Oh, yeah, it's very effective. I can tell you that.
Is it for you, or overall? I think. Do you feel it's harder to get started or keep going once you've already taken that first of 1,000 footsteps?
Well, it it's definitely they both have their difficulties, because starting off is so hard because you have to deal with the fact that you know uh, you're going into a project and you're like, is my idea good enough? Is it going to hold any water? And then you start writing, you're like, oh god, this sucks. But then after you get started, it goes good for a while until you hit that first block, and if you can't get past it, and your confidence gets killed, it can kill your entire project. I read somewhere, I don't remember who said it. For some reason, Hemingway's coming to my mind, but it's probably not right. But it said that when you're writing something, you got to act like you're God's gift to storytelling. Everything you're writing is perfect. Then when you're editing, you got to approach yourself like you're the biggest hack to ever put words to paper. And that's kind of what I do. I don't put too much pressure on myself to write, but when I'm editing, I will, I just look at it as if I think whoever wrote this is the biggest jerk in the world.
And just be merciless about cutting and making changes.
Yeah.
I got
see
one.
that.
Danny, thoughts on storyboarding? Is it helpful or not at all?
Well, I'm going to share a secret with you. I've never storyboarded anything, and it's mainly because I can't draw worth a shit.
Oh man.
I mean, I tried it with stick figures, but in the end, it just looks like a kindergartner just is drawing circles with a pen. I can't make heads or tails out of it. So I utilize my really good imagination and I storyboard it in my head. And so far, I haven't had to work with like a cinematographer or a director of photography or anything like that to where, I would need the storyboard to explain how my vision is. I can usually just kind of guide it myself, but there's going to come a time where I'm going to have to meet the mighty storyboard and I'm going to have to conquer that mountain.
Right on. I think it was the movie The Dentist. Like a horror movie, and during college, it was one of the movies in the $5 bin at Walmart that we all, like everyone watched and brought it to class to study. But on the special features, they have the storyboard, and they did kind of side to side split screen, and the storyboard was pretty much all stick figures. It was the shittiest thing you'd ever see. They said, "Okay, you don't need, you know, a high profile storyboard to actually make the movie, but as long as the idea is there, then it should work." I'm like, all right, I guess, yeah, I can't draw for shit either. But
Yeah.
that was really shitty.
I think, like Danny said too, it comes down to, is me taking the time to draw my stick figures even worth it as far as helping me explain my vision, or can the people I work with just get it off of like me trying to tell it from your
Yeah.
head? So I think that's definitely something to weigh. You want to spend an extra 10 hours drawing stick figures, or
Right.
to only have to re-explain it.
I think
Right.
I think it was Jean-Pierre Jeunet, the French director. When he storyboards, yeah, he doesn't draw. He actually will take a Polaroid and like one of the producers and will do shot for shot the entire movie and like go through it. And he's like, yeah, that's my storyboard. And then film the actual thing. So it's like he made 2 movies
Nice.
already. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like shit, man. That's commitment. That's commitment. And I think that was on the special features for Amelie too, where they show they did.
Those are the kind of guys that only make one movie every like 6 years.
Right.
Right.
The Daniel
Those movies,
Day-Lewis of directors, right? I'll come back once every decade, It's like, all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And then
someone
win an
like
Oscar
Daniel Day-Lewis
for that one movie.
character or caliber, you don't want to be like, okay, so I had this movie in my head 2 months. Here's the script, first draft only.
Let's make this with the Polaroid.
Action.
Yeah. No direction, just this is how it's gonna look. Oh man. Well, he made his last movie, right? Daniel Day-Lewis. That's supposed to be his last.
Yeah,
movie.
Supposedly, yeah.
Was it The Phantom Thread? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Paul Thomas Anderson.
P.T. Anderson.
Again.
Yeah.
And I will. This is kind of embarrassing. I have a guilty pleasure. Paul Thomas Anderson's movie Magnolia is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Really?
Fuck yeah.
I
Oh
love
my
that
God.
movie
It's
so much.
not
It's
what you thought.
I can't watch that movie. Like I've watched it once and I try to watch it again. It's like too long.
It's awesome.
It's
just long, but it's awesome.
so long, man.
It's a great character study.
It is.
It's Yeah, that's
I mean, it kind of came out when that kind of interconnectedness story thing was popular, but I'm like
Yeah,
Crash burned me out to that already. I'm like, okay, I get it.
yeah.
yeah,
They
yeah.
linked and all
Crash
that.
kind of killed that.
But it won an
Crash killed
award.
everything.
That was the best. That was the best picture. How did that happen? Oh.
I
Man,
never heard of it too.
I
Oh,
don't
go
care
ahead.
how bad Crash is. I still cry every time Michael Pena's little girl jumps in front of that gun.
I
And
blocked it, Daddy.
yeah, I mean, it
I'm
gets
I'm an
me every
angel.
time.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I think Crash. I love that Crash exists. If not, if only for the reason of propelling Michael Pena's career. I mean, I just love that dude.
Oh
He's
yeah,
fucking
Yeah.
awesome and
after I saw him
everything.
in Crash, man, I will seek out anything he's in and watch it. I went through the entire series of The Shield just because he's in the 4th season.
Oh wow. Okay.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's in the 4th season. He plays a
Oh,
character named Army.
Oh, nice. Okay.
He joins strike team.
Oh no shit. Michael
Yep.
Pena. Okay, we're gonna have to check that out.
oh yeah.
Ah, Crash did it. That was the first one.
Go Crash.
Oh man.
So Danny, what are your favorite scripts in
Now,
general?
see, this is gonna be really naughty for me to admit, but I don't really read scripts a lot, and that's mainly because it really messes with my ability to write. A great example is: have you guys ever read the script to Batman Begins?
No, I just downloaded it, but I have not read it.
Okay. When you're trying to crack screenwriting, which I teach I don't have the money, nor do I have a film school around here to go to. So I kind of have to teach myself everything. So when trying to learn how to write screenwriting, everything you read tells you, there's these certain rules that you have to follow. If your script doesn't start with fade in, they'll just throw it right out. You got to follow all these rules. And then I pull up a script like Batman Begins, and like every other word is capitalized or bold or italicized or all of the above. And I mean, if I was an unknown screenwriter and I would have turned in the exact script I think David Goyer wrote Batman Begins, if I would have turned in the same script that David Goyer wrote, they would have laughed me right out of existence. They'd be, get out of here, clown. What are you doing? Come back when you know how to write a script. But he had clout behind him already, so I guess he got by with it. So really, when I read other people's scripts, it's kind of like trying to learn how to storyboard from looking at someone else's storyboard. I got to do it my way.
Okay, that's definitely interesting, and I can understand it, especially being a DIY dude. It's all about what's internal, putting it outside. But yeah, I've actually got to check out that because that sounds like it could be kind of exhausting. Every other word, fucking adding an emphasis.
Yeah, it is very exhausting. And I'd read that right before I started writing Feral. So I went into Feral and I'm like, okay, do I capitalize this word? Do I make this word bold? Do I make this word italicized? And eventually I'm like, if I don't know how to do it, I'm just not going to do it at all.
Oh man.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I think you used it, your particular style was sparingly so that there is an effect if there is something capitalized or bolded or fucking underlined, and I think that's the effect you want to have with the script. Shit that should jump out at you, definitely highlight. But if every fucking other word is highlighted, then it's like, oh, then nothing means anything.
Yeah, yeah. It almost seemed like he would just capitalize the word and make it in bold, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? It's like you took a
Batman, what's in the
shotgun
door?
of font styles and shot it into the script.
Oh my god. I think it's on the Terminator 2 special features. They actually have a script. I don't know if it was the first draft of T2, and so it's in frames, right? 573 frames of the first draft of that movie on the DVD, and I'm like, yeah, I'll never get through this. I'll just never. Okay, Arnold comes in. All right, I'll be back. Got it. That's all I need to know.
Explosion.
Explosion.
And he walks to the motorcycle, and he picks up the gun,
Rubber
and
Patrick.
it's raining.
manufactured.
Well, I mean, when
Cross
you James
depends.
Cameron, you can just fucking however the fuck, like, they'll know.
Yeah, I mean, James Cameron could write a script on the back of a cereal box and make $1 billion. So I ain't going to judge anything that man does.
Oh,
But
right,
yeah, I
right.
mean, you do great. You bring up a good point. When you're unknown, or if you're in the DIY area working with other no budget filmmakers, you definitely need to adhere to some kind of uh, maybe format that everyone is used to, uh, I guess, reading or working with. Because if you look drastically different, they are just going to make assumptions about the quality of your story without actually seeing the quality of your story.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, from what I've read, that it's all about first impressions with anything you do in the movie business. So I want to make sure that my first impression isn't that I'm trying too hard.
Right, right. Actually, with your work, with Farrell, it's very subtle, but it is engaging. I really like the opening scene. You want to talk a little bit about openings, because of their importance, the first impression. How do you come up with your openings, and what do you try to do when crafting the opening of your film or your screenplay?
Well, when you're doing an opening, especially with horror films, there's that trope that you got to have that first kill, and normally I try to avoid tropes, but the first kill is very important because you're kind of setting the tone and you're kind of laying all the story seeds out in just a couple of minutes of scenes, and that's what I tried to do. With Farrell, if you go back and read it, there's little hints and seeds at both Katie's history and Amanda's history and the relationships of all these characters. And now that I'm doing the page one rewrite, I've added to that just a little bit while trimming the scene down, and I think that's very important. With the opening scene, you got to pretty much just tell everything that's going to be in your movie, but you can't let anybody know you're telling it till the credits roll. Then they go back and watch and go, oh, he laid it out all right there, or she. Women could be screenwriters too. I don't mean didn't mean to come off that way.
Hey, no.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right about that. And then, because it's like or an organic experience, they're not consciously thinking or remembering, but when you pay it off, they're like, oh fuck, and they go back and revisit it. It's like, oh shit, that shit
Yeah,
was written on the wall from page one.
yeah, and I think you got to make sure, if you're a filmmaker, you got to make sure your movie has rewatchability, because I've seen many good movies that I saw in theaters, or I saw when they first came out, and I went, that was a really good movie. I will probably never see it again. And
Hmm.
you know if you're an artist when you're making movies and you're not just making it to make a lot of money, you got to have rewatchability. You got to have people picking it apart and appreciating it, and find things they hate about it, but at the same time find things they love about it. That's the difference between making a movie as an art form and making a movie as a business.
Hmm.
And movies are so tricky because the business and art are so intertwined. It's hard to separate the two.
That's an interesting
True.
point you made. Yeah, rewatchability. Like I never think, well, like if I were to make a movie, okay, this it's got to be good you know, first time. I never think if, oh, someone's gonna buy this DVD and rewatch it over and over again. Like,
Right, because if
oh,
you want your movie to become a cult hit, people
yeah,
got to show it to their friends. They got to be like, "Oh my God, you have got to see this movie," and then invite their friends over. And if you make a movie that's only worth one viewing, you're not going to be like, "Oh, I got to bring my friends over and watch this movie again." You're going to be like, "No, that's boring. I'm going to invite my friends over. We're going to drink some beer and you know
mm,
destroy something in the
right.
backyard."
It's interesting. I wonder. Yeah, like I'm thinking of the movie right now. Is it The Office? Um, Mike Judge,
Office
cause
Space.
Office Space,
Oh,
right?
space.
Okay. Um,
Now the funeral is
yeah,
over.
cause that movie did poorly, right, in theaters, and then when it hit the home video market, that's when it gained steam and
Yeah, I
became,
actually hated it the first view,
yeah,
but
Me
I've
too. Me
watched it
too.
three
The
thousand times.
the first time I watched it, I didn't quite get it. But
Me
yeah.
I was
either.
also I was also like a kid. I didn't have a job yet. The minute I got my first cubicle job, I'm like, you know what I relate to right now? The the movie Office
Yeah.
Space. I need to get me a red swing line stapler just to show that I'm revolutioning this bitch.
Right. Okay, yeah, and like Clerks, like when I first saw that, I thought it was funny as hell. And then I got a job at a gas station, and then I'm like, I watched it again. I'm like, I totally get this now. Like a whole new appreciation for it, and it was fresh again. I'm like, okay, nice. So it's like, all right, that rewatchability. Okay,
Good point. Good point.
yeah,
Definitely.
that's a good point. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think when you're making a movie.
Yeah. Also, that whole rewatchability thing, like with Office Space or any of those kind of movies that maybe don't hit you over the head the first time, you don't walk away being like, "Oh, that's a great movie." You happen to see it again, and there's something new or something that you relate to or connect with on every other view. That's just something that is awesome, and I think helps the cult status of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Um,
You got to have layers, You got to
Mm.
peel apart those layers with every viewing and find something new.
do you have any movies where you watched the first time and you really enjoyed, you loved it, and then somewhere down the line you watched it again and it was like not the same experience? You're like, this is actually a really bad movie.
Oh yeah, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah?
I call it falling for spectacle. It's really
Mm.
bad. It happens to me really bad when I go see a movie in theaters because I'll get
Mm.
caught up in the spectacle of special effects and explosions and stuff. I'd be like, oh yeah, that movie was awesome. Then it comes out on video, and I'm like, I've told all my friends how awesome this movie is. Then we're all sitting around watching it, and all of a sudden, I got to put a bag over my head. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I got high off the movie again.
Damn, man. An example of a movie?
Transformers.
Transform.
Oh
Any
yeah,
Transformers.
yeah. Transformers is a good example because the first one and the third one, I was like, man, I really loved it. And then on later viewings, I had to hide my. I actually got into a fight with a friend over the first Transformers movie because he said it sucked and I said it was great, and we are not friends to this day because we got into a fight over the first Transformers movie. And you know what? He was right. It kind of sucks.
Like I want to like those movies so
But
bad, but it's like it's nothing good about them except that it looks
I mean,
good.
he's right. You see something that on 200-foot screen with an audience, it definitely adds to the film, the flavor of the film. Then when watching it on Netflix by yourself, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm texting or I'm on fucking social media while this thing is playing in the background.
Yeah,
Oh,
let me check my Twitter real
right.
quick, and 45 minutes later, you don't know what the hell's going on.
Oh. Yeah, definitely the crowd will have an effect. I remember watching Borat one night and it was just like everyone was laughing every second. And the second night I went with a group of friends and it was a different crowd, right? And when it got to the scene where Borat's fighting with his like producer, like they're
The
fighting
naked
naked,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the theater was dead quiet. Like no one said anything. I'm like, this is funny shit, guys. What's are you just grossed out? Like right now? You
What
just-
what was
But
it? A Baptist church field trip to the theater
I
that
know,
day?
right? I
What's
like,
going on?
come on, guys, this is so funny. And like everyone was just like not feeling it. And it was kind of the same with Kung Pao. Like
Oh yeah,
when we
yeah.
went to
Enter the
it,
Fist.
we were laughing for like the first 5 minutes maybe, and then after that, no one gave a shit. Like it was just not funny at all to them. Like it was dead silent. I'm like, yeah, this is an acquired taste. This kind of style of writing, for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely not a film you should watch straight edge. I mean, I think it's obvious who their audience
Yeah,
is.
The same people Jack in the Box targets their late night menu.
right. Those guys. The
The guys who show up and they order off the Taco Bell menu.
what is? There's a name for that menu. What
99
munchies?
cents.
No, the like the
Oh,
munchie
seriously?
special.
Munchie meal.
That's pretty bomb. The jalapenos and that white gravy on the fries. Oh, delicious.
Every time I've gotten a munchie meal, it feels like it's been sitting under a heater for like 8 hours. Like I need a hammer and a chisel to eat this chicken sandwich.
I want a
Crack the
fresh
enamel
one,
on your
please.
fucking teeth.
Give me a fresh one. Oh, damn.
Can I please order some food that won't kill my dog?
Oh, man.
So okay. Um so Danny, like we were talking about with your work and with Farrell, I know you look for ways to present kind of familiar things but in fresh and unexpected ways. So which is more important to you in other people's work? Kind of something you've seen before, been there, done that, but they do what they're doing well, or something that kind of misses the mark, but trying something new. They try to subvert your expectations and kind of blindside you. Which do you
Oh,
prefer?
give me something new every time. I will give you credit if you try to do something new and fail. But if you just give me the same shit that I've seen 100 times before, you played it safe, and only cowards play it safe. You're if you just choose to give me the same story arcs I've seen 100 times, you're just doing it to make money. But if you're trying to do something different, if you're trying to make the audience think or be surprised or anything like that, then to me that's kind of an artist move. You're not really doing it to at that point you don't care about making money because you're taking a gamble. And if you're willing to gamble with your movie to just do something different, you got my support 100%, even if you fail.
That's
Nice.
definitely the ending mentality. Now, does that philosophy carry through when you're paying for the film, like paying to watch a film? Still,
Oh
you'd
yeah.
rather see something different or original or unique, even if it's kind of missing the mark that you think they were aiming for?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will pirate uh, a modern retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but if you give me Bianca loves Juliet in space, I'm gonna pay money to watch that
Yo, Bianca, you crazy.
one.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
nice.
you want to give us well, with your experience of making films, can you tell us the biggest lesson or lessons or takeaways that have come from the experience? I know one you said, which I believe is paramount. Make sure you get rights to your own shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned earlier, when you're making a movie, everybody loves the idea of making a movie, but when you have to put in a lot of effort, unless you're paying those people, they love the idea of the fame and fortune, but they don't love the idea of work. And oh, also, if you're hiring crew, make sure you get samples of their work when you're hiring them. When we were doing a film project, and supposed to be right before the premiere. It was like days, like 2 or 3 days before the premiere, and we still didn't have the audio or the finished edit. And then and then we got the finished edit, and we're like, okay, now we just need to overlay the audio. And then the audio came in, and they didn't match up, and they weren't really great quality. And then you're fighting at the 0 hour to make your movie not be an embarrassment, just because you took someone on their word that they're an expert, but what they gave you was a whole lot of overlaid on every bit of dialogue.
Damn.
Also, some Korean in there for whatever reason.
Right?
Foreign language? It was a foreign language. Where's the subtitles? Oh my god.
Why is there something growling in this scene? Is there a ghost?
Oh,
This is supposed to be a romance movie.
right. It was.
Have you guys seen Manos Hands of Fate?
I hear
I have not.
that's the worst.
Every
Is that supposed to be the
every
worst?
character is dubbed by like the same two actors.
Oh my god.
From the little children to the adults, everybody has the same voice.
Oh my goodness. Oh, how long is that movie? Is that like
Oh, it's
a
not very long.
something?
If you're going to watch it, I'd
Yeah,
say watch it with riff tracks laid over it or
River
something, or
Tracks?
Mystery
Cause
Science Theater
yeah, didn't they?
3000.
Wasn't that like the first movie they did? Mono.
Yeah, it's one. I don't know if it was their first one, but it was
Yeah.
definitely like their first major hit.
Oh, Mono. Okay. Nice.
Comedy gold sounds like.
Yes.
So during the filmmaking process, Danny, which experience do you prefer? Do you like the screenwriting the most, or do you like directing, or producing, or managing? The day to day. What's kind of your uh,
The thing I love the most is the directing. I like writing. I love being creative, but whereas I'm writing, I'm constantly, uh, I kind of like have Carl Jung's shadow in the back of my head going, this isn't good enough. This story doesn't make any sense. But when I'm directing, man, you're there and there's unity, man. You're working with the actors and the crew and the producers. All of you are coming together to create this thing out of nothing, this entire universe into existence. And to me, that's a religious experience, and that's what drove me to becoming a filmmaker.
Nice. Yeah.
Definite. So you do like directing and you like working with actors. Does that kind of play against your what you call your introspection?
Oh,
And
my introversion.
yeah.
Normally it would, but I mean, I honestly believe I was put here on Earth to direct movies because I'm an introvert 100% of the time until I'm directing a movie. Then I become super extroverted. It is the only time without copious amounts of alcohol that I will become extroverted.
So you find the flow kind of when you're directing and working with actors and going through the process of making the film.
Oh yeah. My adrenaline's pumping the entire time. I'm having a blast.
Awesome. Do you feel there's one mistake or one common mistake that filmmakers make regardless of experience?
Oh yeah. Deus ex machina. I
Oh
hate it
yeah.
so
Really?
bad.
In any form.
Yeah. Like I get that coincidences do happen in real life, but if you're making a story, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to turn a miracle into just a coinciding incident that leads to a conclusion. I hate it when the protagonist's speed is pulled from the fire by, some outward stretch of God. But Get Out did it really well because
Hey, wait, no
um
spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers.
oh well then
Have you still not seen Get Out?
No, I did. I was gonna actually
What the
rent
fuck?
that,
It's been
but
out for like a year
I
almost.
chose Birth of the Dragon instead. So.
Oh God, why? Could you not
I
tell
was
that
like,
was
Get
Oh.
Out or Birth. I was wondering what movie would go with my fillet of fish meal. I was like, okay, Birth of the. I want action, right? Action. I don't want to think right now. So I didn't
Was
see
it as
Get Out yet.
terrible as the reviews say?
It there's like a subplot where it takes away. You think it's gonna be a movie about Bruce Lee and this guy, the Shaolin monk, right? But then there's this
But
like
it's about the student.
the students trying to take over like the story, and like it's distracting. And then I read that they had to cut it down so much because he did take over the movie, so it becomes a
They should have
minor
called it
subplot.
Birth of some random
I know
guy.
the birth of the student, right? All right, but no, it was okay.
And you skipped Get Out for that. It
I
would have
did.
went fine. It would have paired nicely with your fucking fillet of
It
fish.
did. It did the fries. It was a large size, so it lasted. And they're good on the salt on the French fries that last night. So
Well, Danny, do you think you can make your point about Get Out without blowing it for the one person on Earth who hasn't seen Get Out yet?
cover my
Yeah. I think I got this. Okay, whereas most movies would use a Deus ex machina to resolve the conflict or a bad situation, Get Out uh, uh, commits to an entire B plot. That the B plot is just setting up for the Deus ex machina, and because you have this B plot, you have this story of how the event that fixes everything started off, and it was a chain of events that led to it. That's good storytelling. Don't have people just pop out of nowhere to rescue. Show me that they're on their way. Hint that they're on their way. If you want it to be a surprise, subtly hint or something. Make it to where I can connect the dots later throughout the movie and see the chain of events that led to that incident.
So you think Get Out
Make it
is
organic.
is it deserving of that Best Picture nomination?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I am so mad that I understand there's no horror category. I so frustrated with it being nominated in a comedy category. And I think it's only because Jordan Peele, has that background in comedy. It's just like, oh, we'll just call it a comedy. It is not a comedy, and to call it a comedy does it a great disservice. It is a wonderfully fine film.
I agree that calling it comedy, just but it's comedy in quotes. I feel like it's satire, so it's like elevated comedy. It's definitely there are elements of horror, but it's just a really smart film.
Huh. Okay.
And there are some laughs. I mean, there's definitely laughs, but it's uncomfortable laughs, which is kind of hard to generate.
Like killing of the sacred deer, uncomfortable laughs.
Ooh, close, but not like I think they just went off the deep end with uncomfortableness in Killing of the Deer.
Oh,
That whole fucking movie was like, ooh. But
nice,
if you like creepy, you'll love that.
nice.
You want to talk about awkward? My wife and I went and saw Django Unchained, and we were the only two white people there.
Awkward.
Everybody else is laughing at
Yeah,
the jokes, and we were just sitting there like, that's not funny.
we can't laugh. They won't let us laugh. Or Team Leo. Or Team Leo in this. No. Oh man, that would be kind of awkward. Yeah.
I agree. I do not like Deus Ex Machina either. It's sloppy.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
kinda
lazy
cheating.
writing.
That is.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't fucking plot the saving of your character and the story, then you know what? I don't know, go do
Well,
television or
that's
something.
that's what happened at the end of The Stand, right? The hand of God.
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
What? No way. He just intervened. He set that thing off. Okay, all right, we got it. All
Yeah, the end of The Stand is like a literal Deus
Yeah,
Ex
yeah.
Machina. God literally comes
He-
down and stops the bullets.
he grabbed that warhead. That was him. That was his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't remember how it ended in the book now. It wasn't.
I've never finished the book,
Never
but
finished it.
yeah, I'm a very very slow reader, and if I get any kind of distraction,
Yeah.
I abandon it completely. I've started The Stand like 5 or 6 times. I usually make it about 500 pages in, and then something will happen, and I'll just forget to read it for a week, and then I just kind of get out of the mood.
Yeah, I was able to finish that, but I can't finish 11/22/63 or It for some reason. It's like those are just so hard to get through.
It
But
was tricky for me. I had to like read it at work because I didn't want to be alone reading it.
It though, yeah, I still gotta get through. That one's not as bad.
So, Danny, I know character is important to you when it comes to story, and there's a resurgence of character-driven horror, which is awesome. When someone tells you that a particular horror film sucks, do you think it's because of that lack of character depth?
Oh, it's definitely a major contributing factor. When like I mentioned earlier, the time for the trope is over. The 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 time where the characters are always the Vestal Virgin, the cheerleader, the jock, the stoner, and the bad girl. You can't give us that anymore, because we're living, breathing people. We like to see living, breathing people. So if you don't develop your characters and you don't care about them, then nobody is really caring about your movie. They're just sitting there to watch the bloodshed, and you know that's fine in certain aspects of horror, namely B horror. But if you're making something that you're trying to if it's a project you love, you need to invest in your characters, and you need to make people care about it, or else no one's going to remember your movie. They're going to be like, oh yeah, I had that funny death scene, the guy's got his head chopped off by a makeup case, but I don't remember anything else about it. But if you break their heart watching a character die, they will remember it, and they will tell it to everybody they see, and that gets more people watching your movie.
Damn.
True, true. So, what do you feel are the top, let's say, 3 reasons that a horror movie fails?
Lazy writing. That's definitely a major one. Uh, reliance on jump scares. That look, like I get that you need a jump scare every once in a while to break the tension, but if the only scary thing about your movie is jump scares, then you're not really putting an effort to the story or the characters. And then again, I can't say this enough. Boring ass characters. Don't I need
Yeah.
I need make me care about them, damn it. Make me care about these people who are going to die. Don't just give me cookie cutter characters I've seen 100 times before.
I think the latest Insidious movie relied a lot heavily on jump scares.
Yeah.
I think that was one.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Personally, I gave up with the Insidious franchise after the first one. I liked it all right, and I don't know what it is. I mean, kudos to, I can't think of her name, but the lady that's headlining the Insidious movies now.
Oh, Lin
Lin Shaye.
Kudos, yeah, kudos to her. I'm glad she's having a great career, but there's just something about her I don't like. I don't know what it is. I know it's not her fault. I'm not
Something
judging
about
her or
Mary,
anything.
I think. Or
Yeah.
Kingpin. She
Kingpin.
fucking grossed me out in Kingpin.
Oh, I bet it is. I bet it is. There's something about Mary. I bet, because I think that was my first experience with her, and I saw that movie. I was like, I was like
Woody
11
Harrelson
years old when I saw
puking
that
in the
movie.
back. Oh, it's just it's
So
Kingpin.
definitely an understandable like about Lin Shaye. But yeah, she's awesome in Insidious, even though they just need to stop. I mean, fucking Insidious 5 jump scare the movie.
Yeah.
And Insidious 5 will just be one of those YouTube videos where it's a baby playing with a ball, and then Ghostface pops up. Ah! Roll credits. We got you. Thanks for your $10 ticket.
Right.
Oh.
You know, I would appreciate that in the sense if I can get to leave after that 2 minutes. But if I have to sit through 95 fucking minutes of, when's the next jump scare coming?
Damn.
So, I guess I want to know what you feel the top 3 reasons a horror movie succeeds. You think it's just the inverse of why they fail?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're putting effort into driving up the tension, and that's something I kind of wanted to do with Feral, was I wanted the audience to know the threat is coming, but the main character not know the threat is coming until deep late into the movie. And because to me that drives tension, because this poor girl doesn't even know what's about to happen to her, and she's just going through just numbing herself with drugs and alcohol, completely unawares. She seems innocent and helpless, which pays off at the end, when everything's revealed. But and then strong characters, of course, I love. I've only mentioned it 100 times during this interview, and I mean, if you
I
put
wonder if
any
you like
kind,
strong characters.
if you act, and with the lazy writing, that is such an easy thing to fix. Just take a little more time with it. Don't procrastinate till the day before your deadline to finish your script. Finish that sucker months in advance, and then spend the rest of the time fine tuning it. It's not that hard. It takes
Yeah.
It takes like an hour a day, if that's the least amount you want to give to it. So for me, lazy writing, there's just no excuse for it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're kind of regimented writer. You make it a point to write that hour a day, even if all you're putting down is just exhausted shit, just the fact that you're doing it.
Oh, I would love to say that and agree with you, but I have a bad procrastinating side too. It's just I realize it and know it's a problem. I'm taking that first step to recovery.
By
Yeah.
admitting there is a problem.
Exactly.
12-step process for
Danny, did you see the movie The Strangers?
Uh,
The one
I
with
get that confused with,
Liv Tyler and
Stranger Things.
yeah.
Uh,
I have not seen The Strangers. I have seen Vacancy, and I get the two mixed up a lot in my mind. I think
okay.
they came out right next to each other.
I see.
And one's Liv Tyler and one's Kate Beckinsale, and they kind of
Right.
look alike.
Oh, okay.
I actually like Vacancy a whole lot better than The Strangers. I don't know why that movie gets such props.
Does the Vacancy have kind of like a similar ending?
No, it's
As
much
this
more twisted.
Oh, okay.
It's about snuff film. It's closer to 8mm than it is to
Ah.
like fucking Halloween or.
Oh, okay. Just because I brought that up because would you consider the ending of The Strangers as Deus Ex Machina?
Well,
No, because they don't get saved.
Oh, right. But Yeah. Well, I was gonna. Yeah. If that, would you consider that a cheap ending? Just cause well, yeah. I won't spoil it for you, Danny.
God is not in that
Yeah,
machine.
he's not. No. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you do bring up a good point though, and that is the another thing in the whole lazy writing category is, oh, I'm making a horror movie, I gotta have a downer ending. Yeah,
Oh,
Right.
okay.
we suffered under the Hays Code for a long time, and I understand that, because the Hays Code, the monster or the villain or whatever had to get his comeuppance by the end. That was a rule that you had to follow to get your movie released, and the downer ending is kind of a rebellion towards that. But we've been away from the Hays Code long enough that we don't. It's becoming a trope, and we need to avoid that. With I'm not saying that every scary movie needs to have main character walking off into the sunrise whistling a happy tune, but also don't just assume because it's a scary movie it has to have a bad ending, especially those bad endings that where everybody's ripping off the first Friday the 13th, where you think everything's good and then at the end, rawr, roll credits. uh
Yeah.
we,
Right.
we've been there, we've done that.
The
put
creature had
put some more
children.
yeah, put some effort into it.
Or Hills Have Eyes, right? There was that guy off there.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
what? No, it's not over. Oh, damn it.
Actually, I'm getting impassioned by you talking about lazy writing. It's starting to piss me off too. I'm starting to think about all these movies that had something, but they just like phoned it in.
Yeah.
Like,
And
well, let's put it here later.
I imagine a lot of that has to do with executives too,
Oh
because
yeah, for sure.
executives only care about money and they don't want to gamble money on anything different. And
You're the devil.
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to stick to the independent DIY kind of filmmaking. Is I don't want to put all my heart and soul into a screenplay, and then an executive go, well, you got to change this and this
Right.
because I don't feel like it's going to make enough money. Like, what's going to
Yeah.
make enough money. Holly, the box office is bombing every year. The this mega this mega blockbuster bubble is way about to burst, and it's because executives are old and out of touch because they've been rich too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that
I
about
feel
the
like
the Village too. M Night Shyamalan. I think
I feel like that is definitely a good example of
yeah.
executive ruining what would have been awesome.
I
Because I love that film. I know it's just
I don't know if
fucking
he
widespread hated.
yeah, if he wanted like the people to die at the end or something or like and the
Oh yeah,
executive
yeah.
was like,
The
"No, it's not that won't bring money to the theater."
Yeah, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, the village had a different ending, and they forced him to change it. I'd forgotten all about that. Poor
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, for M Night
Because
Shyamalan. No. Okay.
because he was still hot then. Yeah. He did. He had The Sixth Sense. That was big. He had Unbreakable. That was
Mm.
well loved. They had Signs. Critics kind of tore it apart a little bit, but I personally
Oh,
thought Signs was
I
great.
loved it. Yeah, for sure.
It was
All
only in
right.
retrospect that I started hating Signs, just because
Right.
of the
Yeah.
logic was absent. But it was a good movie while I was in theaters. It
Yeah.
was a good
Yeah.
in my
And
sleep.
then And then we get to the village. He's still on a roll. He still has that confidence about him, and
Yeah.
you can tell after the village, he lost his confidence, and he gave us a movie about plants that make you want to kill
Oh
yourself.
my god, the fucking happening.
Yeah,
Everything is wrong about that, from
right.
inception to execution. Just like, why does that movie exist? I feel like
It's
that was
true.
his fuck you movie to the studio. He's like, you know what? You guys have pushed me long enough. Here's a movie about plants.
That would definitely make the film more respectable if it was.
Damn.
Just what the fuck was that movie?
Did you watch Split, Danny?
Split. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Did you like that
I,
one?
I dug it a lot. I was a little worried because there for a while it looked like they were biting some of my twists in barrel. I
Oh,
got
okay.
kind of nervous, but everything
No.
turned out all right.
Okay. They made it a movie. Okay, right.
That's a screenwriter's fear. You come up with a good idea, you have this good script, you can't get anybody to look at it, and then a movie comes out and steals your idea.
He did it better. No. Okay. I heard yeah, he just got done with I think it's called Glass.
Yeah, Glass.
Yeah. So that should be good. Yes. Bruce
I'm
Willis.
I'm hoping so, but at the same time, I feel like Bruce Willis is too old to do action movies. Now he'll probably hear this and come and kill me, but
It's Bruce Willis.
We'll have to
he's
tag
like
him.
he's pushing 70 years old, and Sam Jackson ain't no spring chicken either.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this new Halloween remake that everybody's getting excited about, where we're
Oh
gonna
yeah, I
have a
read your tweet. That was
geriatric
hilarious.
Jamie Lee Curtis being chased by geriatric Nick Castle.
Oh.
Laurie Strode's gonna be hobbling down the street, and the Shape is gonna be behind her with a walker. I'll get you.
No. Oh,
The
okay.
geriatric Shape. He's like the Blur.
all
Wait,
all
I read
hunched
your-
over, has that old man walk.
Nice.
And you hear like a groan with every step. It's kind of giving away his position.
She knocks him down, and he tries to get up, and you hear the "Oh, my back!" Oh.
Tylenol, give me an aspirin.
I mean, I'll probably watch it, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, seriously, I mean, they're fucking old. Not that they shouldn't have a place in cinema, but
yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis already came back for Halloween H2O, so I'm not really super excited to hear that she's coming back again because we blew that wad already.
Yeah,
and much respect to her, and I'm glad they're doing another one. I'm glad that they're approaching it with this super serious, we're going to make it great attitude. Awesome. And I could even handle Laurie Strode being back as long as she's not the main character, and that's only just because we've seen her survive him 4 times, well, three times, and then she died.
Right,
She
where
died in
is there
Resurrection.
for her to arc at this point?
Exactly. And yeah, kind of talked myself into a corner in this one. I got the rage boiling.
No. Oh, okay.
Just no lazy writing.
No lazy writing. Care about your characters.
Yo, we got angels in this movie. What?
Okay, so I guess lastly, would you like to list your top 6 films of all time? Any genre?
Of all time.
Of all time. Okay. Well, these won't be in a particular order, but
Sure.
I would have to go with, well, one, Predator. But Predator is my favorite movie of all time. I grew up with it because, like I said, my mom didn't censor movies from me.
Pushing
it was my favorite movie
pencils.
as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can quote the movie from like the beginning to the end without even watching it. I've seen it a million times. So Predator takes the number 1 spot, and then I love Tremors. Tremors is just great because it's a great monster movie because it balances horror with comedy just perfectly. With the Val and Earl characters, you're wanting them to win, and you understand that that's a scary plight, but you end up caring about every person in that town. I think the first Tremors anyway is done very, very well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then RoboCop, the original RoboCop.
Wow.
Man, I love how Paul. How do you pronounce his last name?
I want to say Verhoeven.
Yeah, something like that.
We probably butchered that, but
I love the squibs that he used in those movies in the 90s, where it's just all meaty and bloody every time it pops.
Oh my god. Yeah,
I love that so much. That and RoboCop Total Recall. They're really on display. Let's see. I'm taking forever on this one. Let's see. 3.
No,
Lethal Weapon.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one. Well, really, I like all of them. I'm a Lethal Weapon fanboy.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't watched the new show yet.
Okay.
Because I'm so scared they're going to mess with my comfort zone.
They kind of do. It's unremarkable. It's not terrible, but it's unremarkable for such a remarkable franchise.
Well, yeah, the Lethal Weapon movies, all of them are rated R, and they have a TV show on, what is it, CBS? If you put it on,
I think it's like Fox. It's.
Oh yeah, Fox. Yeah,
you can't do that.
If Murtaugh cannot say I'm getting too old for this shit on television, then I don't want to see it.
Wow. Does he have his
like
kids
when they
in
put
the
Riddick in
movie,
PG-13
in the show?
Yeah, he has
like
a daughter
Rianne and Nick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then let's see. So that's Predator, Tremors, RoboCop, Lethal Weapon. Oh, El Dorado. A lot of people prefer. I don't know if you guys are are up to date on your westerns, but Howard Hawks made 3 movies that were pretty much the same, and it was Rio Bravo, El Dorado, and Rio Lobo. And there's this huge rift on, because Rio Bravo and El Dorado are pretty much the same movie, almost scene by scene. But I don't know, El Dorado just always held a special place in my heart. So I'm a big fan of it. It's John Wayne, it's Robert Mitchum, it's James Caan when he was really young doing a really racist scene in the middle of it. But despite its blemishes, it's a very dear movie to me. I love it a lot. And then finally, my I'd have to go with Terminator 2. Judgment Day.
Of course.
Just the whole point of the movie is that the fact that Terminator learns what it's like to be human, and they do it so subtly that you don't even realize it's happening until the end when he says, "Now I know why you cry." And to me, to give us such a great action thriller, and then hit us with a whole lot of philosophy with it too, man. That's just brilliant writing. There's a reason James Cameron is a god, you know.
Yeah. I actually did the franchise run like this week. So Terminator to Genesis. And watching Terminator 2, I just noticed little different like little things. When they go to Cyberdyne, right, to go blow it up, Sarah Connor is wearing the same coat as Kyle Reese did in the first one. Or it's a similar coat. I don't know if that was intentional or not. And
Oh, I imagine it is.
yeah. And if I don't know if this is a goof, but so you know when the T-1000 is in the helicopter chasing Arnold and those guys in the SWAT car,
Mm-hmm.
when they do a kind of a close up or a medium shot of Robert Patrick reloading the gun, so he's got his 2 hands free, and if you look, there's like 2 other hands holding the helicopter controls, like he's like
Well, I
sitting
mean,
on a guy. So I don't know if that's supposed to show like, oh, T-1000 can have 4 arms, or that was actually like a stunt guy flying the helicopter during filming.
nah. I'm gonna have to side with, because he's liquid metal.
Yeah.
It's showing that he can multitask like a bitch.
Ah, okay. All right. I'll take that. I was like, no, Cam, you can see both those hands. What are you doing? I was like, all right.
I can load a gun, fly a helicopter, chew
And
bubble gum, and smoke a cigarette.
Get out. Okay. Yeah. Nice. That's a good list. I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah.
That's a good set of films. All awesome stuff.
Yeah,
Predator
if you look at them all, aside from El Dorado, I really do enjoy my violence.
Oh yeah, El Dorado's the odd man out.
Yeah.
Oh right on. Are you looking forward to the new Predator coming out in August?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. Well, not only was everybody knows that Shane Black was in the first Predator. He was Hawkins,
Yeah.
first guy to bite it. But since then, the guy wrote Lethal Weapon 1, Lethal Weapon 2, The Last Boy Scout, The Long Kiss Goodnight. He wrote and directed, or I think he wrote and directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I know he directed it.
He did.
I'm pretty sure he wrote it too.
Yeah.
The dude's still on top of his game, and he directed Iron Man 3, and that's my favorite of the Iron Man movies.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm really excited about the Predator. More excited than I have been for any other Predator sequel to come out so far.
Right. Yeah, I did a
We should have
recent
him back
viewing.
on.
Oh yeah.
Long Tall Sally. Yeah.
Yes.
We should have him come talk with us about it.
The new Predator movie. Yes, you go watch it.
Yeah.
Premiere
Fucking
weekend.
stoked too.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, sweet man.
Yep, great list. So you want to give some closing thoughts or shout outs?
Well, yeah, if I had closing thoughts, it would just be, to reach out to all the DIY and indie filmmakers out there, especially the ones that, go through the same problems I have of how am I going to fund this movie? How am I going to undertake this large project? How am I going to be able to do it right when I'm inexperienced and don't have access to the people or places or education necessary to do it? Look, we're living in a great era right now. Okay, the phone in your pocket can film just as well as a $6,000 movie camera now. You can download free editing apps and software online, technology has finally reached a point where filmmaking can actually be affordable and doable for your typical average consumer now. And this is a great moment because, like I mentioned earlier, the blockbuster bubble is about to burst. Independent film is going to come back in a big way, and it's going to come back online. It's going to come back with all the before this bubble bursts, the streaming services. It's going to burst real soon, but right now it's great. They're hiring anybody they can who can, who's writing stories or wanting to work in film, because they're all competing over who has the great stuff. And even when that pops, you still got the internet. You can still upload your movies online and have people watch them. And if you're making movies for art, you're making them so people will see them, not so you'll get rich. And yeah, it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to have a moment where you're like, I got all my ducks in a row, I got everything I need. It's all going to go off without a hitch. That's never going to happen. And you know why? It's because art is struggle. Art is the reflection of struggle. If you don't struggle, you're not going to make art. So accept your struggle, filmmakers. Accept it, embrace it. Use that struggle to make something that is going to punch people in the face. Make characters that we care about. Don't do lazy writing. Just show us your vision. We, Hollywood and the rich studio executives and all that, they've had control for so long, but it's time that art is going to be like painting or writing. It's almost free to do. The only problem is you got to get other actors and stuff to work with you. But man, everybody has friends. And if not, just go to a bar one night, find the drunkest people you can, be like, hey, you guys want to make $1? Recite these lines in front of the camera. We're at this wonderful independent, we're at the peak of this, or not the peak, we're at the precipice of this independent film renaissance. And if you're listening to this and you want to make a movie, but you don't know how to go about it, go on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
There's plenty of videos on YouTube that show you how to do everything. You don't need to go to film school anymore. You don't need to train under professionals. The internet gives you all the education you need, and if you use that, then we're going to enter this wonderful time period where we're just going to have voices from all over the world sharing with us, and it's going to increase the art of cinema tenfold. So if you're listening to this, get off your butt and make a movie, man. I'll watch it.
I'd like to quote your article, The Rise and Fall of the Slasher Film,
Oh yeah, yeah.
in which you say the next Halloween is out there right now, sitting on someone's laptop, waiting to have life breathed into it. Until then, the wolf is going to be scratching at the door, waiting for its chance to feed.
Nice.
So let that wolf in, guys. Make the movie, no excuses.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a nice way to close. That's preach, brother. Yes. That's how you do it.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you very
thank you
much,
guys for
guys.
having me on. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on here, man. This is great. This was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Very insightful.
We had fun too.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome finally to get to talk to you, man. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
here, guys.
For sure. Keep in touch, all right?
All right.
Yeah.
This is a Nekko Media podcast.